From an early age, perhaps we were all taught to be extra careful around water. Always wear your life jacket. Never run around the pool. That was a hard one. Wait 30 minutes after you eat before you go swimming. Not sure that's true. But I'm not sure anyone taught Peter to be careful around water. Because Jesus dismissed the crowds after feeding the 5,000 and told the disciples to get into a boat and go to the other side. Because he needed some time to pray. Something he had been trying to do. And then as evening drew near, so did this severe storm that battered and tossed the boat that the disciples were in. And they were terrified. The storm was so big, the boat was so small, so early in the morning, still in the midst of the storm and the chaos, Jesus walks out to the boat on the sea. And the disciples, squinting through the wind and the rain, think it is a ghost. But Jesus cries out, "It is I, do not be afraid." So Peter says, "Well, if it is you, Lord, command me to come out to you on the water." And Jesus says, "Come." That we are all invited to step into the presence of God's steadfast love. But as we take those first steps, we are full of questions. The same questions that Peter was asking. That we might not be asking ourselves whether God loves us, but we might be asking, is God's love big enough for all the storms that I will face in this life? Can it hold me on those days where I don't feel like I belong? And can it help me as I face the hardest questions of this life? And can it guide me to a life of purpose and meaning? That if you want to speak meaningfully to someone about faith, do not talk to them about whether you believe in God. Talk to them about how God's love has been big enough to hold you and help you and guide you in this life. That when Peter stepped out of that boat, he was asking, is God's love big enough for all of this? And as he stepped out, he started to sink. And we have heard over the course of our lives it's because Peter did not have enough faith. And maybe that is the point. That Peter cries out, "Lord, save me." And Jesus reaches out and takes Peter by the hand. That Peter was baptized in those deep waters, discovering how big God's love really is, that it can hold us and help us and guide us. That we do not know that the love of God will catch us until it does. whether that's through the kindness of others, or the strength of prayer, or the solidarity of community, or the grace of second chances. That when we are caught by the hand of God, it changes us. Robin Wall Kimmerer is a botanist and a mother. And when she was buying a new house, her daughter had a couple requests. She wanted trees tall enough to build a tree house, and she wanted a pond where she could go swimming in the afternoon. Well, her mother found this old farmhouse with trees big enough for a tree house, and they built one. And there was also a pond, but unfortunately, it was full of algae that after years of overgrowth and leaving it to deterioration, there was this muck that developed on the top of the pond, so you couldn't swim in it. So her mother decided she was going to transform it, to renew it. So first, she got in her canoe and she paddled out to the middle. She took a rake and she'd lean over the side and lift up the algae on top of the water. But it was so heavy on the end of the rake, it threatened to tip the canoe. And she really didn't want to get wet. So second, she just took a few steps into the shallow edge of the pond, where she would use her rake and lift the algae off of the surface and haul it out. But over time, she realized she was just treating the symptoms and not the cause. So she thought she got smart. She got a pair of waders and put them on so she could step out a little deeper into the water. But waders can give you this false sense of security, where if you lean down a little too far, cold water just goes rushing over them, filling up the waders where it's hard to walk. So finally, she decided the only thing to do was to put on a pair of shorts and t-shirts and just wade out into the deep waters where she could reach down and remove the cause of the algae. As she writes, transformation or change is not accomplished by tentative waiting at the edge. That Jesus takes us by the hand and leads us into deep waters where we see this world differently, and we come to see how big God's love really is. If you grew up like I did, perhaps you recognize the verses in the reading from Romans this morning as part of what has been called the Roman Road. Series of verses taken off the page from different places in Paul's letter to the Romans and stuck together, leading a person from disbelief to faith in God. Like the verse where it says, if you confess with your lips that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved. But if we let that verse stay down there on the page, surrounded by that larger passage that it is a part of, it takes us by the hand and leads us into much deeper waters. It changes how we see this world. Because in that same passage, Paul says, there is no distinction between Jew and Greek. That if we confess with our lips that Jesus is Lord, it widens our understanding of the family of God. That God's love does not separate people from one another, like Jew or Greek, like good or bad, like worthy or unworthy, or any other category that we can come up with. The love of God does not reflect the divisions of this world. It mends the divisions of this world. It is always bringing people together, which might make us feel a little off balance, because change always does. When Mary Ann McKibben Dana moved into her new house, there was a small lake behind it. She always wanted to learn how to paddle board. It looked good in the magazines, and it was supposedly good for the core. But she was nervous. So first, she just sat on that board in the water and was like, okay, I can do this. Second, she hopped up on her knees and paddled just a little bit, feeling like that was okay. Lastly, she stood up on the board, and as it turns out, the problem was not the sturdiness of the board. It was actually hard to flip the board over. She says the problem was she was wobbly. She had to get used to it. She had to find her footing and her balance. That the love of God is big enough for all that we face in this life. It can hold us and help us and guide us until we find our balance and our footing, even in the midst of change. And here at the beginning of this school year, during this transition, we hold our children and youth close, represented by these backpacks this morning, as they continue to discover the depths of God's love for their lives. We might even share with them some of the stories from our lives in the storms that we have faced, and how the love of God is big enough to carry us through them. Amen.